In the heart of the nation where laughter's the key. Natch has the podcast, join the revelry. Taking the Mickey with positive spin. Country folks unite and let the Nat Chat begin. Nat Chat where the laughter's free. Spinning tales about politics with positivity.
I ended my inaugural speech in Parliament with "We put food on your plate and champions on racetracks." And probably a truer word has ever been spoken in that place. Jokes. This week, the Mildura Rural City Council launched their Motorsport strategy, powered by passion, and is it what? John Kontrec hosted the evening at Powerhouse Place, and we'll hear from Motorsport John shortly, but there was a panel discussion with some of Mildura's most impressive motorsport champions, and all of them say the same thing. They just love Mildura. Chatting to the likes of Josh Waters, Chelsea Stevens, Phil Lamattina, Leigh Adams and Rick Kelly, I am more excited now about the future of motorsport in this region than I've ever been. These are people who've lived it, some are still living it, and they're passionate about their craft and their home, and they know what it takes to make it. These are the people we need to listen to. Now, I've got Josh and Phil lined up for a solo podcast in the not too distant future, but I thought whilst I could catch John, Chelsea and Rick in the one place, I would, and I'd make a little Mildura Power Sports podcast out of it. So, live from Mildura Powerhouse Place is your Easter Power Sports Weekend chat, starting with world champion ski racer and 8-time Australian title winner, Chelsea Stevens. Great. So the Easter Power Sports Weekend, I won't lie, is my favourite weekend of the year. Motorsport tragic, although I was never allowed to get behind a boat, unlike you were. Chelsea Stevens, oh my God. It's so good to finally meet you. You have done so much behind a boat.
I have, yes, thank you. Lovely to meet you too. I'm very blessed growing up on the Murray River. I was offered to get behind a boat from a very young age and finally took it up at around age 6. But as I said earlier tonight, my 2-year-old son skis on doubles, so he definitely has me covered.
That is, now how many world titles have you won?
I've won 1 world title, competed in 6.
You've won 8 national titles? Is that right?
Yes,
yeah.
Australian
oh my
championships,
gosh.
yeah.
Oh my goodness. Now we're talking ski racing here, right? And I said to Dominic earlier, I said, just for context, I putt along, struggle on double skis at about 25 miles an hour. What kind of speeds are you going at?
So on river racing, like what we've got here in Mildura this weekend at the Mildura 100 ski race, we're looking probably open women sitting between 100 to 110 miles per hour in that event. Sometimes maybe a bit over 110, but majority of the time in that 100 to 110 range, which in kilometres, as we know, is 150 to 165, 170 kilometres an hour.
And the boys are pushing over the 200k mark, aren't they?
Yeah, correct. So my husband, Jack Stevens, he skis behind TR Racing, which is boat number 1 this weekend.
Oh, is it?
They won outright last year, so he won outright last year, and they have a 120 mile an hour speed cap, and he will sit consistently pretty much between 117 and 120 mile an hour, which is up to 210 kilometres an hour.
Is just crazy.
It
isn't
is.
It is just crazy.
You definitely got to have a bit of adrenaline in your blood, I think, to take up our sport, but there's lots of people that do love that adrenaline rush, so it works well.
Well, obviously, look at the people here tonight, and we are here at the Powered by Purpose Motorsport strategy. Has this been a long time coming, do you think?
I definitely think so. As was mentioned by Phil, Josh and Rick Kelly tonight, one thing we're struggling with in motorsports is getting those juniors to come through the ranks. Obviously, with motorsports does come a cost, and there are lots of committed club members that are really pushing junior level. But having a little bit of, government funding will definitely support the clubs to allow us access to the systems that we need to do junior development and really drive motorsports in the Sunraysia region.
Well, that's exactly why I'm here, Chelsea. So how much money do you need? Where do you need me to put it?
That's the sort of attitude we need. No, look, it's great. As mentioned, growing up in the country, children are really blessed. We've got access to anything we want. And I think supporting these clubs across all facets of motorsports is only really going to drive the economy here in Sunraysia. As mentioned, I think it was $200 million gets brought into the region from motorsports. I know
21 into Mildura. 21 million annually.
21 million annually. Well, I know the Mildura 100. I did 10 years on the Mildura Ski Club myself. That ski race alone, brings a fair few million into the economy here in Sunraysia. So even for the non-motorsports lovers, you must see through that and see that anything that we can bring to our town that is going to inject cash into our economy is always good for all.
Absolutely. And you know what? You just have to come and see this. And I get that people outside of Mildura that have never been here before don't quite get the significance of this weekend or the significance of motorsport in the region. But like I said in my inaugural speech, we put food on your plate, we put champions on racetracks, we put them on the river as well, as far as ski racing, wakeboarding, water skiing, it's something I just think needs investment. It needs investment here. How do we get, as far as the monetary stuff, which I will hopefully be able to take care of in the future, how do we get families to invest in motorsport? How do we get their kids started? Because I would love my kids to get behind a boat. They're both on motorbikes, like Josh said before, and Rick as well. They're able to get home and jump on a motorbike. But how do we nurture that? How do we approach then clubs and get into racing?
So Mildura Ski Club, as I said, blessed to have been a part of that from a young child and had the support of that local club. You literally can Google Mildura Ski Club and you will get the information there behind our website. It's $50 to join as a member. We have club days. We have beautiful facilities down on the waterfront, beaches, three-car boat ramp. We have our own club rooms down there. Very lucky to have the facilities we do in Sunraysia. I know one thing that Mildura Ski Club's passionate about is to build a new facility on the water there, because we know as a club not only will that drive and help our sport along with tournament skiing, with your wakeboarding, slalom skiing, barefooting, we're all one at Mildura Ski Club, but it'll also actually help the economy in Mildura. I've had a good chat to the previous president, Jeff Thompson, about this, because we built a facility where you can host 300-400 people. You're going to get conferences, you're going to get weddings, you're going to get all of those sort of things. And to me, Mildura really could be the Las Vegas of Australia. You could fly in. We've got the airport, we've got the infrastructure. You fly in, you do your commercial conferences here in town. You're getting these big corporates. I know previously I worked for Challenger, who's a listed company, for 14 years, and we'd fly. We flew to Adelaide once and did this amazing conference out of town in the Barossa and things like that. Mildura's got the infrastructure to get here very easily from all our capital cities with direct flights. I think facilities like a huge facility on the water where paddle steamers, conference room, those sort of things I think would go a long way for the economy here in Sunraysia.
It's a no-brainer really, isn't it? We've built our back-facing, our biggest asset, which is the Murray River.
And it's just devastating. So I think all of us water skiers, we're passionate. We've been working very hard at Mildura Ski Club. As I said, did sit on the committee, trying to get money in the bank and then waiting for a government grant to be able to pull the trigger on something like that, a beautiful waterfront facility that will also drive the economy here in Sunraysia.
Yeah, and I know you've spoken to Bridget McKenzie about it all as well, so I will keep working with Bridge and the feds and our local member Anne Webster as well.
I have. I've got a little photo on Bridget's Instagram as well. So
have you now?
Yeah, if she forgets who I am, just tell her to give a scroll and tell her we're still chasing some money.
Bridget never forgets. She never forgets a name, never forgets a face. She's very good at what she does. But I couldn't agree with you more. You mentioned there's a kids come and try day this weekend. What about an adults come and try day?
Well, look, it's funny because when I posted about the kids come and try this weekend on the Gold Facebook page, another adult wrote that, and I did say to them, we're more than happy to take adults as well, and I'm personally more than happy to teach anyone to water ski, because I'm hoping if I do, there'll be someone else that will get that love for the sport like me. And trust me, with 3 kids under 4, behind the boat is a great place to be. It's so relaxing, it's beautiful, taking nature in and doing what we love.
And you can't hear them fighting.
Exactly. My husband maybe has the punch-ons in the boat, but for me out the back, it's amazing, very relaxing.
Brilliant. Well, we've just sold our boat, but I've retained my skis and my wakeboard, so I might have to take you up on that.
Yeah,
Chelsea, thank you so much. Thank you for coming here.
No worries.
And we will talk.
Thank you.
She is one impressive individual, and whilst John was introducing her to the panel the other night, Phil Lamattina looked around at me and gave him a Phil kind of look that said, gee whizzer, she has done just about everything that is possible in ski racing, and she has. Best of luck to husband Jack and TR this weekend. Now, Motorsport John, as I affectionately call him, is the host of the evening. And we always have a great chat, whether it's trackside at Hatter, at a show and shine, or wherever I run into him with a microphone in his hand. But little did I know this time, the mics were still running after we'd wrapped up, so you get to hear a bit of the off-mic banter too. Oh, you're rolling already?
Yeah,
okay, how am I going to introduce John? How do I introduce you?
However you want.
I mean, locals will know who you are, but we've got a lot of people that listen to this podcast.
Okay, so how about you just say...
Because I can just say to anyone that's involved in motorsport in Mildura, oh no, John's going to find me a motorbike. Oh, is he? Okay, they just know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, they do.
Well, what's your actual role and title? Let's start with that. Give us your role and title.
So in motorsport, I suppose, my level of connection in all of this is I'm probably... I do all of the media or commentary work for these clubs, but more importantly, I suppose I'm kind of a bit of a spokesman in a way for what goes on within. It's really hard to sort of get to the level I'm at without doing everything that I've done. I've been involved with so many different motorsport groups, that you kind of get to know all of the different idiosyncrasies with them. And I've managed to create like an alliance with all of those individual people that are all in those different sports. And it's like having a huge family, and you catch up with them Christmas and birthdays and, you know, and Easter and those sorts of things. But for me, it's like I catch up with that really big extended family at those times.
Yeah.
And it's when events run, like in the middle of July, which is a classic for the Hatter Desert Race, right? I get to see everybody there in the middle of winter, and that's just how it is, right?
This weekend must be a big old family reunion for you then.
It kind of is, yeah, right. Like, and I've been in it long enough that I get to see people that have competed and stepped away, or kids that have moved into bigger divisions.
Yeah.
Started as toddlers and moved into senior events and top-end sport competitors, right? But for me, it's that whole journey of understanding and knowing. Humbling for me to sit here tonight and actually sit there and see every one of those 5 that we were talking to and kind of see them grow up through their own parts. That's pretty cool.
The fact that we could get them all here is pretty cool. Because, and I've said it multiple times before, I ended my inaugural speech in Parliament with "We put food on your plate and champions on racetracks." And I'll say it again, when you've got Chelsea Stevens, Phil Lamattina, Josh Waters, Leigh Adams,
and
Rick Kelly.
Yeah.
I mean, stop it. That's pretty impressive. And to get them all here, it must be like herding cats. Did you do that?
No, I didn't do that. The council did that. But,
right.
but I'll give you the insight into that, right? So, and I think I touched on it in the discussion that I had with them, and that is that we are proud. We are proud of what we are and where we come from. And I can't say that highly enough. And that's why I sort of angled it at Rick, that every time the guys in the paddock or the television want to interview guys like him, they always ever associate it, Rick Kelly from Mildura.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because when these guys go away to race, they always talk about, when their careers start, they always talk about Mildura and from home, how, you know, big hello to everyone back home in Mildura and all that sort of stuff. And it just associates with a bit like, it's a bit like pie and sauce. They just go together. No one has to tell you that. So for guys like our top-end competitors, because they fly that flag so well, it's why everyone knows the place. And it's funny because, you go away to do different things at different venues. I travel away all over the shop doing things, right? And when you talk to people about where you're from, it's always someone who says, "Oh, that's the place where that guy's from," or "That's you guys run that thing," you know? Like, it's like, yeah, right? So
I still get, when I say I'm the member for Mildura, they're like, "Oh, Kelly Brothers." People of a certain vintage, all I go, "Ah, Kelly Brothers."
Correct.
All the time. And I'm like, yeah.
But that's the cool part about living here, is because we're so proud of what we do. And I know, I kind of put the guys on the spot a little bit, but I know when you travel away, because I've done this myself, you are so proud of what you do here and the way you go about doing things here, that you help build this aura, this bubble of what we are, success in this region, right? And when you step on the plane to fly away, you're going to do something. You're very focused on where you're going, what you're doing, and the result that you need to bring home. That is your primary focus. It's like anything, it's what drives you to get there. But it's when you come home, the hype is finished, the champagne cork's popped 4 days ago, your luggage is somewhere in the back of that thing, but that last step, not on a jet, that last step on a prop plane, that when you stand on it and it shakes as you get off it and you put your first foot onto that bitumen tarmac out at the Mildura airport, you're home.
It's a safe space, isn't it?
Oh, it's just... And people here don't realise what they've got in front of them. I mean, that airport's as good as any to fly in and out.
We
right?
are so spoiled.
We've got so much to offer. The weather's fantastic. The people look after one another. It's the fact that we're isolated in this bubble of success that we help one another. I mean, in Melbourne, if something happens, you go to Cheltenham, you go to Dandenong, you go to someone somewhere who can do something for you. Here, you ain't got that. So someone locally machines up a part for you, or you make a repair to it, you fix it. You know, like it's...
Or the local osteo fixes your hand, and like Josh was talking about before.
Everything's here, right? And we're proud of doing that. So, you know, I think we live for what we are because it's how we've always lived. I don't think we've ever been a society or a community of people that look for what the price is. The price for us is not the dollars. The price for us is that measure of success within our own network of people that help drive us to where we need to be. That's the recipe for success.
That is so well said. So we might leave it there and let you go. Thank you very much, John. Have you found me a bike yet?
Don't you worry.
You haven't even looked at
No, see, this is the thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
Jade, I only got to go out there a week or two before and go, hey, listen, I need that bike.
I half
for her.
expected you to do it the day of when I rock up.
Do you want to do that?
Helmet.
You want to pick one out?
No. Oh, maybe. My husband still doesn't think I'm going to do it. He's like, yeah, absolutely
mate,
not. I'm like, mate, I am.
I keep saying this. If you do this, you've only got to do a lap.
I'm doing a lap.
Right? You only got to do one
Maybe
lap.
I'll do two.
And you'll be the only parliamentarian to have ever competed in that event.
I'm doing it. Do I have to actually formally enter, or can you pull some strings?
We'll see what we can happen, right? We'll talk to Jen and see what we can do. But
Jenny will let you.
That for me would be one of the pivotal pieces, because it's like, because we've had Tony Lockett ride it.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
Because he does Fink and stuff.
Correct. But he wanted to do this one.
I know. Yeah. Well,
like,
fair enough.
You know, so we've had a lot of different people do that event.
Yeah.
But we've never had a parliamentarian, right? So that's a first. I don't think there's anyone in Parliament ever ridden anything like that ever anywhere in the country.
I'll see if I can get a parliamentarian
So, mate, you're in, right?
cheer squad. I don't know.
Pit crew, right?
Oh, God, I wouldn't trust any other MPs to be my pit crew. Thank you very much. I'd trust Dominic here.
No. But within your own group, right? Someone could certainly come down and help you out.
Oh, actually, Tim McCurdy.
Correct.
Tim McCurdy,
So
I would absolutely.
He can give you a bottle of water.
No, he could service the bike. He's pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe,
I've got a few actually now that I think about it.
And maybe someone else who you know that can give you, a new set of goggles and a bottle of water to drink or something. You know, that's a support crew, mate, right?
Yeah, Dominic probably could do that. Yeah, I will be there because I love this stuff. I live for it. You know,
it's awesome.
I suppose I better actually get on a bike and go for it.
So for me now, here this weekend, next weekend, Toby rides up at the Condo 750 up at Condobolin, and then he comes home and he's back for about 6 or 7 weeks, and then he flies out to the next offshore event.
Yeah.
And then he's back for a bit, and then he gears up for what he needs to do for Dakar. So
my new favourite Toby, because Toby Price has lost his contract.
Yeah.
I guess it's out there now. Riding the Tenacious Ladies of Hatter has always been a bit of a pipe dream of mine that I never thought I'd get to achieve. And for sentimental reasons, I'd love to do it on a KLX 250, not the CRF in the shed. So if anyone has one, wants to be a pit crew and help us out, call the office. Now, Rick Kelly, half of the Kelly brothers racing empire, needs little introduction. He's won the Australian Drivers' Championship, the V8 Supercar Championship. He's won Bathurst twice and the Clipsal 500. He and his son Lex are now Insta-famous with Hellbent Garage, and he's building a Palm Springs-style resort back home here in Sunraysia. It was an absolute pleasure to sit down and have a quick chat with Rick Kelly. So this is pretty special, and I sometimes take for granted the fact that I get to chat to motorsport champions on a daily basis.
Thank you.
Phil being my neighbour, and I speak to Josh often. But that's kind of Mildura. But the one thing I will say when I say I'm the member for Mildura, people still say to me, "Oh, the Kelly brothers."
Oh, that's good. That's
so
good
it's
news.
so good to be here finally having a chat to Rick Kelly.
Yeah, and normally when people say that as well, they say, "How you going, Todd?" And I'm like, "It's Rick." You got a 50% strike rate.
Well,
haven't you?
that's exactly right. It's going to be one or
Guessing
the
which
other,
one
isn't
it is.
So let's talk about why you're here tonight, I suppose, and
Yeah.
the launch of the Motorsport strategy, Powered
Yeah.
by Passion.
Yeah.
Have you seen the document and what the plan is, I suppose, over the next few years?
Yeah, I've seen the document. I need to go through it in a little bit more detail to understand what the actions are coming out of it. Firstly, I'd say it's great that there's been recognised and there's movement towards helping, because that's one of the big things I've noticed when I've come back after my supercars career is that it needs help. Like, there's some great people at Mildura Go-Kart Club, which I'm directly involved with, that are trying to make it work, but it needs help. Like, you go out there and you're like, okay, it needs help. There's not a huge member base because it's, of a lot of different reasons. And when you're pulling volunteers that make that work out of a small member base, there's not many people to help, right? So you need more members, more people to help. And so if this strategy is going to assist with resource, then that's going to be a really important part of it. So I think, I haven't had a good enough chance to go through and understand exactly what the outputs are and the resources are to get actions in place. Like, that's what it comes down to. So it's great that we've launched something there and to see action.
Yeah, I mean, my first thought was when I first found out this was being done,
Yeah.
I went, oh, about time.
Yeah.
This is it's been talked about for a long time.
Yeah, it has. But you can also go to places where they're doing nothing. So I'm just glad that they're going, hey, we're going to do something. Now we just need to make sure that it's, I think it's funneled in the right way, and that there's an outcome from doing it. So what actually is this strategy? How are you going to help the club, and not just our club, but all the clubs, and grow it into what it can be? That's what it's going to come down to. Because at the moment there's a small member pool at our club, at Mildura Kart Club, and they're the ones doing everything. So, when you look at football clubs and that, there's a bigger member pool which helps bring more people in. But there's also, who mows the grass and who looks after the footy fields and all that sort of stuff. Be interested to know, because there's not much of that at Mildura Kart Club.
No.
And it could definitely do with that help. And it has had success stories come out of there. And so, with hopefully me being listed as one of those.
I was going to say, looking at one.
And then, for me, as soon as I finished, the first thing I wanted to do is come back and help. So last year, I helped the local crew here, and the year before, get a government grant to put a shade structure over the outgrid, which is probably the biggest improvement the club's had since I left. Now, that's not just me doing that. That's everyone chipping in to do that. They all help build the structure. They all help put the grant proposal together and get it done. And then we helped run the 50th anniversary Northwest Titles last year, which was the club's biggest event in a couple of decades, I think, or not quite, but nevertheless way bigger than it's been recently. And so that was really good to inject something back in and help. And this year, Lex and I bought a cadet go-kart, which is the youngest, the smallest go-kart that you can have, and donated it to the Mildura Kart Club to bring in new members and as a come and try kart. So now the great volunteers are helping, bring people in, and now they've got a resource where they can put them in and go and do it.
That is very cool.
It's a little bit. It's not as much as I'd like to do, but that's why I'm pretty interested to see now what the strategy will deliver, because we need things to happen. That's the key to all this. So they've done, they're in the initial stage of that, going, right, there is something happening. So we just need to help wherever we can to make sure that they understand the priorities where we need assistance, and see how what they have the ability to help with, because it won't be everything. There's a lot of motorsport clubs in Mildura that need help, and we're just part of that puzzle. But there's a lot of energy around it at the moment, and a lot of people there ready to assist.
Yeah, and I think that's what the Alliance will do, because having tried to bring motorsport clubs together before, upstream in Swan Hill, it's difficult to bring clubs because they all have this vision of what they want. But Mildura, I think, is a much more united motorsport community. So I think that's what the Alliance will do.
And from a council point of view, that's important, right? Because you can't just give to one because you're interested in that or whatever it might be. You need to give to all of them. But from the person that wants to go and get into speedway or go-karts, they don't care about any of the others. So they all need their individual plan and it to be actioned individually, because collectively it's good to plan and execute, but from the end user's point of view, they don't care about everyone else.
Yeah.
They just care about what they're going to go do. So we need to make that possible for them.
Yeah, exactly. And when you say that you've donated a kart to the kart club, that I think is that could actually be life-changing for some. My husband used to race karts back when he was a teenager and would love our kids to get into it, but who's got the money to go and buy a kart and not know if they're going to enjoy it?
Yeah, exactly. And it's expensive. How do you set the kart up? How do you make it start? How do you work it? All that sort of stuff. So the club's got, like I say, lots of great people that can do that. So when they know that there's someone that want to come and try it, attend a come and try day, then they can bring. Someone else has donated a junior kart and they've got other karts as well. So now they've got a full suite of karts. They can go, right, this is how it works. This is what you've got to go out and do. Hop in, here's the safety equipment, here's the process and get it done. So, but we need help communicating that story because last thing I wanted to do is donate a go-kart, then come out and go, look, I donated a go-kart. So I didn't say anything about it, but we do need to promote that there is karts there and people can come and experience it.
Yeah, because that's, that is, even for me, with young boys and one who loves motorbikes, the other one who loves cars and would love to jump in a car. I had no idea. So that's amazing.
It's helpful.
Yeah. Can we chat about quickly, I don't want to keep you too long because they're packing up chairs and clearly wanting us to get out of here. Can we talk about Trentham Waters?
Yeah, for sure.
It's finally kicking along now.
Yeah, it's been a long time in planning just for us working with everyone and designing it and having everything come together. And we just talked about motorsport briefly, and I did tonight, and it feels so like a different world, motorsport, because I've just absolutely just dropped my career completely and gone in this direction. I
haven't really been out of it that long.
No, but it feels like a lifetime ago. I finished in 2020, but I've not looked back, and I just absolutely hung the helmet up and walked away.
Did you?
Completely. So it's like talking about it now doesn't even feel like it was in the last 20 years.
Really?
And I've just sunk my teeth into Trentham Waters Resort in Mildura, and that's been all I've done since. So it's coming along really well. The motorsport career has given me the chance to travel around Australia and also the world, and I still love nothing more than coming here. So when I stopped racing, I wanted to give a little bit back, and we spoke about go-karting and how I've achieved that here locally, or tried to achieve part of that. And then the other part is the Trentham Waters Resort and building something to showcase the region and bring people in and show them what Mildura is about. So we grew up on the river, more so in boats and on the river than we did in karts because of the asset that the Murray is to Mildura. And so myself and the family group have tried to create exactly that, and something that's quite different and that people don't probably have otherwise.
Yeah, and we haven't had a new hotel offering in Mildura for 20 odd years. So
I hope that's because no one thought of it, not because it won't work.
Well, I'm sure, but the concept, and we've all seen the spreads in the paper, and I was talking with Chelsea Stevens earlier, and she was saying it will work. Like, I know there's, you'll have certain targets that you have to meet as far as occupancy goes, but the plans look incredible.
Thank you. They do look good. Yeah. But you're dead right. Like, that's what's keeping me up at night at the moment. Will it work? And I've never operated on a lot of confidence, and that's where I found my success from. Because
Not even in motorsport?
No, I never operate on a lot of confidence. And sometimes that hurts you, but more than often it does the other thing where you're like, okay, I'm really worried. I don't know if I can do this. So you work really hard to make it work. And so everyone else is like, it'll be fine. I'm like, I don't know if it'll be fine. We better work real hard here to make it fine. So that's where we're at the minute.
I suppose if that's what drives you, if that's your motivator,
it actually is. And like I say, sometimes it doesn't work for you, but generally not knowing makes me work a lot harder. So I think it will work. All the modelling and everything I've done says it will work, but who knows? You could kick the gates open and people might not turn up, and then we're in the world of hurt. But certainly the reaction from the initial launch of us saying, hey, this is what we are building, this is what's coming, was well above what I expected it to be.
Was it?
Yeah, well, I didn't have the time. The reason I hadn't launched this project earlier is because I wanted it to be such a huge launch that I ended up getting stuck into construction and didn't have the time to build what I wanted that to be, the launch. So it ended up being, you know what, we're just going to have to do it now, because we worked with Mildura Living. They had a deadline of their magazine coming out, and I'm like, well, that's when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I just bolted whatever
Speaking
I could.
of people that use stress as their motivator, Tony and Sharon at Mildura, very good friends of mine.
Yeah,
so.
and they were brilliant, and that was what made that launch happen. Because I'm like, well, this is what I'd love to happen. They're like, yeah, I think it's great, and then they're like, this is the date it comes out. I'm like, well, I haven't got, this doesn't leave us much time. So I didn't have, literally I smashed together a release and then called the paper the day before, and that was it. So I wanted to do a million different things, but it's just too big a project. So for that little resource that we pulled into the launch, the reaction, especially on social media, was well above what I thought it would be.
Yeah, well, I can't wait to see when it actually opens. Do we have an opening date yet? When can we start booking?
It's going to open at the end of 2022 as planned.
Oh yeah, cool, great.
So that's how long it's been.
What was that? Now, this is one thing I get asked all the time. What was the hold up? And I hate rumour and innuendo, so I go straight to the horse to get
What's
it from the
hold up? There's no one single thing. Like the thing is, if you're building a house, generally they're delayed, and that's a house. This is in just the top section. It's a 40-acre build with 56 cabins, 15 villas, a restaurant, a manager's quarters, 2 amenities blocks. Like when you look at all of that, pulling that together and building it and coming up with a budget and a time frame is close to impossible. So we're working as hard as we can and as fast as we can without ruining the build. Because if you go any faster than what we are, you'll pull in so many independent contractors and it'll just go pear-shaped. So our plan was to have it ready late this year, early next. That's the current timeline. So it might run slightly over that, but we're doing everything we can to make sure it doesn't. Because obviously, once you start building, you can't delay. It needs to happen. So I think we're about 45% through build now.
Amazing. That is amazing. Well, if it's done by the start of next year, then we'll book in the Nationals Love In. We'll do it right now, and I'll just make everyone come.
Exactly. So there's no official date, but what we've done is we've put together a list, what we call the A list, where you join that on the website, and then we can keep communicating. And because there's been so much interest in it, we've got so many emails, we're going to create a wait list so that the people that have contacted us first and tried to book first get first opportunity. So
that's great.
I think it's a good idea, because at least that way, when we do say, right, it's now bookable, then the people that have been waiting for that amount of time get the option, rather than someone that stumbles across it on the day.
Right.
So we'll try and achieve that in the next few weeks and communicate that through the website.
Well, let us know when it happens, and that is a wait list I will be happy to sign up to.
Thank you.
Because I just think it's fantastic, and along with the motorsport strategy, it's so good to see these things happening in Mildura. Any danger that you're going to move back here permanently, or?
I'd like to. I think I wouldn't be able to do it at the minute, because I wouldn't leave the site at all. And generally when I get here, I start working on the site, and I need to work in the office organising it, not so much on the tools. As much as I'd prefer to be away from the computer and actually working, I need to be in the office. So it's actually a good balance at the minute, where I turn up every 2 weeks, I'm on site for a few days organising and carting things in and talking to everyone, and then I go back and sit in the office and continue to make the program come to life from behind the computer.
Amazing. It just sounds like you are still as driven as you've ever been, and I look forward to what's to come.
I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Rick.
Cheers.
With the world's fastest ski race, sprint cars, arena cross, drags, a show and shine, all sorts of things, there is something for everyone this weekend in Mildura. So I'll see you out there.
In the heart of the nation where laughter's the key, Natch has the podcast, join the revelry, taking the Mickey with positive spin. Country folks unite, let the night shot begin. Nat chat where the laughter's free. Spinning tales about politics with positivity.
Music written and performed by Mick Harrington, recorded at Parliament House, Melbourne. We acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which this podcast was recorded and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging.